We are excited to have Gettysburg High School girls varsity head coach Rick Keller in the basketball coaching class. With over a decade of experience coaching boys and girls from preschool through varsity, Rick has built a reputation for developing players, building culture, and creating opportunities for young basketball players to grow and succeed. In addition to his girls varsity head coaching role, Rick is also founder and director of the Gettysburg Youth Basketball League, which is home to over 55 teams. Rick, welcome to the basketball coaching class.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Why are you here? What a great question. When I reached out online and said, I'm interested in talking to people that are doing unique things in the youth basketball space, you replied and we had a conversation. And from that conversation, I learned that the Gettysburg Youth Basketball League now has 55 teams, is only 2 years old, and it essentially funds your girls program from the bottom up. And I thought that was a great starting point for a conversation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I took over the Gettysburg Girls varsity program 2 years ago and I had very little money. I barely had enough money to pay for our summer league that summer. And as a business guy, I'm taught or trained, or the way my mind thinks is instead of saying we can't do something, like how do we figure out a way to make this work? And ultimately, it comes down to money, is what I determined. And you can do anything you want with your program if you have enough money. So I thought, how do I generate some income? And I live in Gettysburg. We're a pretty small rural area. And so it's not like we have multiple options. Some of the youth leagues that we had looked at were an hour away or 2 hours away. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to solve multiple problems, right? I want more kids to play in my program. It's easier for them to come out if it's closer. I need to make more money. So what if I started a league? And it wasn't something that I thought would work. I wasn't even sure. I just thought maybe if at least if I can get 4, 5, or 6 teams, my kids can get the experience instead of driving an hour because it's tough to get third grade, fourth grade parents to drive, right? But yeah, so I put this together, and in year one, I think we had 33 teams. Apparently, there was a need. And in year two, we were over 55 teams. And I just had a conversation a couple weeks ago with another program that's going to send 17 more teams to my league. It's a cool thing that I'm able to raise enough money. And I'm not even raising money. It's the money we're making through the program is funding everything I want to do from first grade through 12th grade.
It's a beautiful thing, and every great business solves a problem. And you solved a need for sure for people, and that's awesome. Tell us just quickly about the structure, because I know there's a lot of coaches in these situations, whether it's a small town, big town, doesn't matter, that can find kind of these resources to help fund the entire program. So talk to us about the structure. How many times do they practice? How many times do they play? How long does the season run?
So what I'm providing is a league with just games. So these are other school districts, other programs across Pennsylvania and Maryland, really within about an hour drive, because that's the normal around here. If you're going to go to a game, you'll go an hour. And these programs have their own practice facilities at their local schools or whatever. All that we do is we provide, you get to come to the same place. It's safe. We got good officials. We got good spectators. We provide concessions and we provide security. And so it's a very structured league where they just show up and play games. And how it works is we run from the beginning of December typically through February, but the end of February is we have a couple playoff weeks. And how I structure that is I break it into 3 or 4 team brackets. So even if you finish at the bottom, you were one of the bottom 4 teams, you still get the opportunity to play in the semifinals and potentially a final. And what I think on the screen is you have
So
some
you
pictures.
seed it so they get opportunities to play significant games at the end, no matter what.
Yeah, because the thing that I thought was important was that everybody gets a competitive game. And we run the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then I spend a lot of time analyzing the scores. I'm there, I watch the games the best I can. It's hard with 55 teams, 3 at a time going, but I try to pair up the rest of the schedule such that the games are closer. And then when we do that playoff at the end, in theory, those 3 or 4 teams should be relatively close in talent. And so it creates the playoff pressure and it creates hopefully games that are not 30, 40 point blowouts because I don't know, it's very difficult to learn whether you're winning or losing if it's a 30, 40 point game. So that's
Do
difficult.
teams sign up as a team or can individuals sign up?
Just as teams.
Perfect.
So I have multiple programs that tested the waters and then they say, hey, we're going to bring a whole program over. This is really well run. And so when you have, I think we have we might have 7 or 8 programs next year. So that creates more consistency. And honestly, it's helping other schools which then also helps, in turn, helps us because the more structured and the more consistent everybody in your area is, the better level of basketball you get and the better opportunities the kids get.
Well, I can speak to this, and I speak to this a lot now, but having been involved in the youth basketball space at all levels, from elite to youth to starter levels, consistency of location, consistency of rules, consistency of competition, all of those things are some of the most important things for development. And for parents, consistency of understanding how much each weekend costs, because
Mhm.
I know how variable that is for youth parents. So this is just beautiful to see. Rick, one of the other reasons you're here is because now connect this for us to your girls varsity program and the philosophy behind how you run the system and why you run the system as well. So we'll go to some video now, coaches, and Rick will show us a little bit about some of the things he does with his program.
Sure. So before we get into it, I guess I'll answer your question. It's what I noticed is you generally only have, at least in my area, five, six, seven girls that usually play, but you're going to have 10 or 12 on a varsity team. And it's my idea here and my whole thought process behind my program is I want everybody to have as many opportunities as possible. And so making the money through the program to be able to provide training and create opportunities. And we do parties and we got great banquets and we do a lot of things so that the girls have fun, that they build relationships. And we could dig into that forever about why girls play and why they quit in middle school and all those things. But so, what better than the system where you're going to sub in five in, five out. There's ways that you can have two teams of 7 and 8, or you could go three teams of 5. It allows more players to play. And the key for me, especially when I transition from coaching boys to girls, like boys will go outside and they'll say, "Hey, let's go play one-on-one, let's play two, let's go to the park, let's go to the Y." Girls aren't typically doing that out in the driveway if they're hanging out. And so it's like, how do I get these girls to get more reps? And if you're playing at a faster pace, you're going to get more reps. And so all of that kind of led me to say, I think I want to just do this for the whole program. Like I want to grow the program. I want to have a certain amount of numbers. Kids aren't going to keep playing if they're 6, 7, 8, 9, and you're not playing, they're not seeing much time. So they're going to go to a different sport.
So,
Go ahead.
coaches, one of the reasons this connects is obviously you've built your league to such a high level that you're more likely to attract more kids into basketball. And you attract more kids into basketball. One of the goals is to retain them as long as possible within your system. So, it's a beautiful way to do this. So, what ages do you start the system at? And then obviously you run it through varsity, we know.
Yeah, so I literally just started it. I have no juniors until I'll have no seniors next year. My intention was to run it next year, but we had injuries this year and we weren't achieving our goals. And I said, you know what, let's just switch it at the varsity level. Let's just go halfway, which I don't recommend because parents aren't prepared for that. But at the middle school level, I knew that we were going to do it in high school the next year. So I asked our middle school coach, and again, we don't have the numbers that I want yet. And so,
But future
ideally,
forecasting, you're going to have the numbers. So,
we have the
you're
numbers at the
preparing
younger
people
levels.
for this in advance.
Yeah, we have the numbers. Matter of fact, tomorrow I have a coaches clinic with all of my youth league coaches and any parents that are interested, and I'm gonna break that down and what we want and what we're looking at and the purpose and all these things. But what we're gonna look at here is my middle school team, even though we only have 15, and we have two teams out of a middle school team. It's like a junior varsity and a varsity, but we only had 15, and we still ran it. And what it did is it forced us to play some seventh graders on the eighth grade team that would never have seen time. And what surprised even me, because this is the first time I've ever seen it at middle school, is that those seventh graders, some of which who came out for the first time in seventh grade, I'm putting them on a varsity, they got so much better and so much more confident that when they played in the seventh grade game, they were way more aggressive than they would have been otherwise. I've been doing this for over 10 years. Usually that new kid, or even just coming into seventh grade, they're not used to the 5-day-a-week practice. They're a little tentative, and it's always harder to get kids to be aggressive than it is to say, hey, slow down a little bit. If you have a kid that's already aggressive, that's a good thing. And I was just shocked by the development, the aggressiveness, and the speed at which they were making decisions, even the brand new seventh graders. And that's really, if I'm being honest, what sold it. I said, I got to do this the whole program. Like I wanted to do it and I'd thought about it and we were starting to go that direction. But so I want to show you this clip. And I'll tell you, you're going to see that we sub 5 in, 5 out. The only time we don't sub in 5 in, 5 out is at the end of quarters. They'll might put in three or two, 3 or 4 just to get a top finishing lineup in there. But I'm going to let this run. And Chris, if you have any questions, you have any thoughts, again, this isn't, we don't have our top five on here ever. So I'm going to go ahead and get
Yeah,
this
let's
started.
show us.
So we're going to press on makes and misses. I don't care what my middle school coach does. I just want everybody attacking. That's always been my philosophy and my mentality. I want to be on the attack at all times. And what I loved about it is you notice on the back end there, and I'll pause this a little bit, is he doesn't spend a ton of time teaching you have to go here and you have to go there. If you get burnt, you realize, hey, maybe I should play back a little bit more. Maybe I need to anticipate that they're going to throw the ball. This is about midway through the season when they started to get the hang of it and started to learn from their mistakes. We don't do a ton of 3-on-2, 2-on-1 drills, 11-man drills. Certainly that's involved. But the real learning I saw just came from being in the game, going hard, making mistakes and saying, oh man, we don't want to give up those laps or last time this happened. And then they just start to anticipate on their own. It's fascinating. It was fascinating to me. So no, again, once we get it, we want to go. So we run a sideline fast break and we're looking for, I love that look. It was a turnover, but I have the kids getting the ball out, pushing it and looking ahead, which is relatively difficult to do the younger they are. So there you
But it makes
saw,
sense based on research is you're letting them explore, you're creating a template for them in terms of spacing or style of play, principles of play. And then, yeah, you're letting them explore within creative environment. And it's beautiful. And no doubt they develop over time.
and so you may have just saw that we sub 5 in, 5 out. So we got a whole new group in there, except for, yeah, he left the little point guard right there on the ball. She's super high energy, so she can run 2 shifts. We're subbing every minute. And here, this is where we look, it's not there. So they're like, let's go. But you see, everybody's running. Like they know, like we're going. And they have the freedom, if they're open, shoot the ball, and we crash the boards. And make or miss, they're pressing the ball. And this is just a continuation up and down the court. And I know for some it looks like it could be chaotic, but they understand we're looking for that first available shot. And so I think I'm going to pause it there. I think it's just a different mindset than slow the ball down. We got to get set up. We got to go to our spots. It's not as exciting. It's not who's in a hurry to go to your spot to go set up an offense. Here they know, like, especially when you're subbing every minute. So you can see we got 4 at the scores table already. They're waiting because they wanted to come in at 2.
It
Like
keeps
they're
everyone involved, but you already referenced this from a development standpoint. Everyone's making decisions.
Mhm.
Everyone's getting to shoot, pass, and drive. It's empowering players for development, and it's a great system for that.
Yeah, it's 100%. Like again, kids are growing. How many times, and Chris, I know you're coaching girls now, but like how many times even in boys teams that bottom sub comes in, they're scared to make a mistake or they're unsure of what they're doing. If you can see this again, I've got one, two of these kids have never played before. And they're like, hey, we know what to do. Get the rebound, get it to the outlet, and we're running. And they know if they're open, they're going to get a pass. And if they're open, they're allowed to shoot it. And then if you miss it, who cares? Because we're going to go get the offensive rebound. And who cares if we don't get the offensive rebound? Because now we're there to trap and press. And it's fun and it's exciting.
You reference kind of the growing curve for, say, parents or players that have never seen this before, never done this before. What are some of the other challenges in terms of introducing this that you found?
So I think, first of all, the parents, you got to introduce it. And they still don't understand it when you talk about the parent meeting. The challenges are that your better players will get frustrated in a way because they're getting pulled out of the game and they're not used to that. They're used to being the best player. And the parents have a real problem with it because there's this myth, what I believe is a myth, which is you can't get into the flow. Oh, just when I started to get hot, you pulled my kid out, or just when they started to get. And I think that's a total myth. If your muscles are ready, if you've been practiced and trained, you can, and you get out there. If that's the case, why do we have bench players that can come on and perform, right? So that's one of the challenges. And then just the purists or the old schools that say you should only play man and should only run motion offense and this shooting, you should hold the ball for 30 seconds, make 18 passes. There's some of the old school parents, they have a problem with it too.
That's all related to survivorship bias. What did it look like for me And that's what it should look like for my son or daughter. And those things, I'm so grateful. And that's one of the reasons you're here, Rick. You're divergent, you're doing it differently, and you're doing it with the mindset of what's best for the players, what's best for the kids, not what's best for the adults. And to be honest, I'm so grateful that you attack it from that approach because, yeah, you have to explain it to the parents. But at the end of the day, some parents, no matter what, are not going to get beyond their bias.
Yeah, I think when I started coaching girls, I was just in search of the question of like, why do they not have these moves? And why do they not inherently or subconsciously understand where to go in space and these different things that coaching boys, I didn't have the same problems. And for me, it came down to two things. It was experience and just the fooling around out in the backyard, just mechanically, just with activating muscles and how that
I'll
worked.
add a third thing
Go
because
ahead.
coaches love structuring girls. They know girls will listen, so they think
Mm.
it's the best way to coach them because they can completely structure them and control them. And I've seen this at all levels. I've seen this for my daughters. Like it's just this ultimate thing of I can control you. And your two reasons and that reason, you're absolutely right. And if anything, you're trying to defundamentalize them and let them play with freedom. And that's such an important part in the development process. And you don't know right now, you referenced two girls that didn't play basketball. You don't know how this is going to spark them at this point to want to work on their game because they now see opportunities to shoot, pass, and drive and not just sit on the bench or not just screen or not just defend. They get to play offense.
Yeah, and when I really dug down even into my own thoughts on that, I thought it's not even maybe it's not even that. It's just they don't have the experience to make the decisions. So how do I get them to get more experience? Because I know when my daughter gets together with her friends, she's never going outside and shooting hoops. They're never going to go, hey, you want to play one-on-one? I bet you I can kick your butt. That's just not what's going to happen. So how do I get them more reps? Because it's that. It was interesting. I tested this the year before with my AAU team, and it was fascinating to me. I was so nervous because look, I've always coached smaller schools. I've always been the underdog. I've always had to slow it down to give us a chance. In many cases, I've had a bunch of post players and no ball handlers. And I hate playing that way, but you do what you got to do. And when I gave them the freedom to just look, if you're open, you shoot it. I have to be honest, I was terrified that this is going to become a run and gun, one dribble up and shoot the ball. Everybody's going to get selfish. And it was going to be, well, she's doing it, then I'm doing it. And it was amazing that the opposite happened. Well, I was shocked when I saw that, but I guess we'll hop back into the video.
Show a few more clips just so people can see it. And this is with your middle school program. But again, the goal is at all levels that you're going to coach or have people coach within your program. They're going to be doing this because it's best for development and it's best for engagement and it's best for retention.
Yeah, so I didn't answer your earlier question, but we're going to start it in fifth grade. And that's what I have my coaches clinic about. And maybe they're not going to be perfect, but I want the concept and I want the idea of, hey, everybody's going to play. So when you're in there, you play as hard as you can and we're going to attack. And even if you mess up, it's okay. Learn from it and I want to allow them to figure it out on themselves by themselves. That doesn't mean there's no coaching, but you know how it's okay, you have to do a layup this way, has to be this foot, this hand. I don't do that anymore. I'm like, hey, look, I want you to do a layup on this side, or we're gonna play 2-on-2 or 3-on-3, and you have to put constraints on it, but you figure it out.
And that connects so much to basketball immersion, our philosophy for the last 10 years, which is again, as soon as you tell them something very explicit, do a layup this way, then they will do a layup that way. And that actually is a limitation rather than an affordance. And what you're providing for them is this very ecological way to be able to figure out the right decision to shoot the layup and then figure out a solution based on that. And it's absolutely proven by research and proven by your own experiential knowledge here. That's great for development. And it's also great for athlete enjoyment because I imagine they don't have to listen to you all the time talk about very technical details, do they, Rick?
No, and they come up with stuff on their own. Look, we could teach you, and I'm sure we could teach 80 different types of layups from different angles, from different hands, different feet, 1 foot, 2 foot, and that's overwhelming. Like they're not used to having, okay, I got to do this. And then they're thinking in the game. I just had breakfast with the college coach who says even at the college level, certain girls are just thinking too much on the court.
Rick, this is awesome. It's great to be able to see from the league to the program that you run, and then the goal within the program of development for players, and then how the system and the style of play fits into that. So thank you for sharing all this. Can you have any last thoughts on this for any coach that might look at this and go, hey, I want to learn more about this and from Rick?
Yeah, look, I love talking about basketball, so anybody can reach out to me. My information's on the internet. I'm in real estate. But no, I think the important thing to think about is you want more kids to play. Everybody I talk to, every coach says, we need more players. We don't have enough. We don't have the participation. This is the best way to get participation. This is the best way for everyone knows they can play. They got an opportunity, and it's just fun. Look, you do so much coaching on the sideline. This year at the varsity level, I became more of a cheerleader than actually calling balls and strikes and dictating, and because you can't help it. They're going out, they're running. They don't have time to look at you. They don't have time to listen to you other than calling inbounds plays. And so it's actually so much more fun to coach. It's so much more fun for the kids, the girls that normally didn't play, because I did this halfway through the year, right? So the girls that weren't playing at all, now all of a sudden they're playing. Now all of a sudden the bench is way more energetic because they're a part of it. Even though they only played maybe 2 or 3 minutes, they got in 2 or 3 times. They're making shots, they're participating. It creates such an incredibly positive environment. The only thing I'll say is you just got to make sure your staff and everybody's bought in. That's all.
Well, which is the reason for the coaches clinic and for you sharing with us as well. And I know you get a lot of people reaching out to you. Rick, thanks so much for sharing in the basketball coaching class with us.
No, I appreciate you having me on. It was fun. Thank you.